This is an extract from the Leader Coronavirus Daily podcast by the Evening Standard and hosted by me, David Marsland. To hear the whole thing, search for it on your podcast provider.
Hello. Today I'd like to talk to you about how to wear a non-medical mask.
This video from the World Health Organization was released just over a month ago on the day they advised people to wear masks in public.
Place the mask on your face, covering your nose, mouth, and chin, making sure there are no gaps between your face and the mask.
That was June 5th. Today, July 14th, the UK government announced that it'll be compulsory to wear masks in shops in England, or you'll risk a £100 fine. At least it will from July 24th. That's 10 days away. Some health bosses and at least one retail chain are not happy about the delay, but our editorial column says it's not just the politicians to blame.
In March, the Deputy Medical Officer, Dr. Jenny Harries, told us that wearing a face mask was not a good idea. Politicians followed that advice, and even as masks became universal in lots of other big developed countries, Britain remained uncovered. Either masks were pointless and the rest of the world was making a mistake, or they work and we were wrong. Now we know the answer. From the end of next week, masks will be needed in enclosed spaces, such as shops, though oddly not for shop workers. They almost certainly stop infection spreading, so that's a good idea, but why did it take so long? Sure, blame the politicians, but why did the advice from our scientists lead us the wrong way?
Our deputy political editor, Nicholas Cecil, is with me. Nicholas, why do we need this 10-day delay? Why can't we just start this immediately?
Well, the government says the delay is to allow shops to prepare for the new measure, and also it will presumably also allow people to go out and buy masks if they need to. But the government has been criticised over this 10-day delay, and this comes after initial confusion for several days over what the exact policy was. First of all, Boris Johnson signalled at the end of last week that a stricter approach to wearing face coverings in shops was coming into force. Michael Gove then on Sunday came out very strongly against the compulsory wearing of face masks in stores. Then on Monday, we had the Justice Secretary, Robert Buckland, saying his view was that it should be, quote, mandatory perhaps. By Monday evening, this was all getting far clearer, but it's only in 10 days' time on July the 24th. Now, the British Medical Association has very strongly criticised this 10-day delay. Dr. Chan Nagpal, who's the BMA Council Chair, has even said it risks spreading the virus even more and even endangering lives by not doing this immediately. The head of JD Sports, Peter Cowgill, also says the delay up to the 24th is, in his words, quite confusing. So basically the government finally managed to come to a decision, but then like so many of its other policies on COVID, it seems to delay actually introducing them.
Yeah, the government has been accused of being too slow for a number of reasons to do with coronavirus and COVID-19. Is that yet another criticism that's coming its way this time?
Yes, there certainly seems to be a pattern here that the Westminster government seems to be following in the footsteps of many other countries who seem to be taking more decisive action. For example, Scotland brought the measure on mandatory wearing of face coverings in shops in on July the 10th, so England will be 2 weeks later. And the government has also been accused of being too slow over imposing lockdown, too slow in doing the right thing to protect care homes, too slow over ordering enough personal protective equipment for NHS workers and care workers. And as the former Chief Scientific Advisor, Sir David King, says, in his view, every one of these decisions is coming extraordinarily late. And he adds, as soon as shops were open to us, they should have been put in place. So there definitely seems to be a pattern of, for some reason, the government not being able to act quickly enough and also not being clear in its messaging.
But the government has been defending itself. George Eustice, the Environment Secretary, was doing the rounds this morning, wasn't he?
Yes, George Eustice is normally a very safe pair of hands, and he was explaining why why the 10-day delay had been introduced to allow retailers to have some time to put in place the necessary measures. But again, we saw the mixed messaging today, this morning, because we saw Michael Gove go into a coffee shop and not wear a mask, and at the same time his cabinet colleague Liz Truss in the same coffee shop actually wearing one. So again, confusion and mixed messaging.
Search for the Leader Coronavirus Daily on any podcast provider to hear more from the podcast.